What's up, you guys? Chet-Guthrie, the Dream Poet here, coming to you all from the wilderness, or to be a little more specific in that, Sparta, Tennessee. And even more specific in that, we are here in the unincorporated town of Rock Island, Tennessee. Now, in Rock Island, Tennessee, there is a very well-known state park that is in this area, and it is also in the namesake of Rock Island, Tennessee, and that is Rock Island State Park. Now, you all will probably have already seen this particular state park on social media. One of the things that it is known for is its fairy castle and its small abandoned cotton mill. I believe it's cotton mill or a cotton grist mill. There are also two really cool waterfalls that are on the side as well. And there's also an abandoned bridge, and also some really cool stuff at the nearby TVA hydroelectric dam. But anyway, you guys, I figured, you know, I gotta see this park. I like Tennessee state parks, and I already have a few that are on my favorite list. But let's see how this one ranks up. So, real quick, we're gonna hop inside into the visitor center, where there is a really cool fish in there. Granted, it's not alive. It is taxidermied. And plus, there are a lot of really cool other stuff. They do have a pretty good selection in their gift shop. Here on this wall right here is a record walleye, or from what I heard just mentioned by the lady at the front desk, not long ago this record was beat. But this right here, at one time, was the largest walleye in the United States caught. And it looks like it was caught at a whopping 21 pounds and 4 ounces on January 27th, 1957. That is a very old taxidermy relic. Still, regardless, very cool. Here are some other things from that time period. You can see where they're holding a taxidermy. I don't know if this is the exact same one. I don't think it is. But long known as an angling destination, the headwater of the Center Hill Reservoir at Rock Island produced this most legendary catch on January 27th, 1957, when Ronnie Bernie Back Bryant, a local angler, landed a 21-pound, 4-ounce whopper that would spoon the name the U.S. record walleyes. And anyway, as I was saying, apparently that got beat sometime in the future. And that is a lot of crappie. Kind of cool how they have that done right there. And they also got a pike. You know what, there's probably a pun right there, but I can't really think of it at this moment. Right there is probably one of the biggest striped bass I've ever seen. That is big. That probably weighs about maybe 20 pounds, maybe more than that. I would probably not want to catch that, because I imagine that's probably the equivalent of deep sea fishing right there, catching that. This welcome center has a lot of cool stuff in their in their gift shop. A lot of cool shirts. By the way, if you're in the area and you like Tennessee state parks, make sure to support your local parks. Always means a lot. And buy a shirt. And I think this one's pretty cool. It kind of has like the national park insignia to it. Oh, and that's cool. That is awesome. This is cool. So let me show you all a map of this state park. It's kind of cool, and it's kind of cool in its setup. Or maybe all of them are cool in their setup. I don't know. At one point, I was trying to be a Tennessee State Park Ranger. But as you all can tell, that didn't happen, and I created a YouTube channel. Right now, we are right here. And all that stuff that you see on social media, or on Facebook and whatnot, in YouTube, people that have already been here, it's right around here. And now in this area as well, there's a really cool old bridge that is really awesome. So anyway, let's get to it and let's check this place out. You know, now that I think about it, that visitor center was kind of small compared to some of the other ones I've been to. But they did have a lot, and it did have a lot of spirit. But I really like that walleye. That was something cool to see, especially since that used to be the biggest one on record that was ever caught. But we have arrived here at the spring house. So let us start our journey out here at the Spring Castle. And I figured, you know, it's pretty appropriate, especially in the days of the 21st century. I feel like this Spring Castle is very synonymous with Rock Island State Park, and it has a really cool history behind it. You see, in this area of Tennessee, East Tennessee, part of Middle Tennessee, there was a textile mill here, and technically it is still here. It's this building right across the way. This spring castle would provide a cooling system for the textile mill, especially with all the hard-working machinery, especially the machinery that was in the machine house here at the mill. And also this spring provided water to the workers and their families for everyday uses. So it's really cool that they chose kind of a castle sort of theme. This describes it right here. Spring Castle. The Spring Castle is an elaborate spring house built while the textile mill is in operation. The reservoir behind the wall contains water from a natural spring. This provided water to the mill and surrounding houses for everyday use, as well as fire protection for the machine shop that once stood across the road and connected the textile mill. Fire protection was extremely important since fires at textile mills were very common with such large hot machinery in close proximity to flammable materials. And I'll just say, this water is peaceful, hearing it coming from the castle. Like, I just like this kind of mountain spring stuff. Like, if you stand next to it long enough, it will calm your nerves and just about anything else. Because for a long time I used to have a lot of anxiety, and just being next to the sound of stuff like this, running water, it can truly calm a person down. In fact, I think there's a scientific study that was done one time around on that. And the cool part about this is you can walk up to it and go inside it. So we're gonna do that. Again, something I've been wanting to do for a while. It feels just like Rock City. Like, if you've ever been to that area, I have been to it a few times. I really recommend checking it out. I went out there with my friend Andy from Andy's Journeys. That's mostly how I'd get in for free, because he has a season pass, and he can bring one whole person. Although I think it's changed since then. But also, I've been there with my friend Mr. Nomad Ben. He's well, both times we're at the Garden of Lights. But now that we are up here, well, let's go inside. Let's go inside the spring house. It's obvious that this is a new-ish ceiling. That's where people could go and pump the water out. Maybe we can do it. Or maybe not. Yeah, I don't think that's gonna work. But look, there's even a stepping stone for children, you know, that have the opportunity to do it. But Yeah, I don't think any water's coming out of that. But honestly, you could probably get lost mentally and emotionally just standing by the running water areas of this spring. And I don't mean to sound weird. I know sometimes I do. But here is what is behind the spring house. Here is the spring that fed an entire town. You can see it like back in there. And you could see the rock work from a bygone era. But I think this new piping right here, that's what gives what we were just messing with water. I wonder why it's not working. Huh. I don't really know. Well, let's get down here and let's check out the textile mill. Now, much like the spring house, or the spring castle I should say, this old abandoned textile mill, it's also one of those things that you really can't miss while you're at the park. And for me personally, I kind of find it somewhat synonymous with the park as well, just because it's got a really cool history about it. And plus, I love abandoned buildings, if y'all can't tell. And by the way, this old textile mill, it does have a cool history with it as well. Here is a sign that can better describe it than I can. Kind of gives you all an idea of what it was at one point. 1892, Falls City Cotton Mill was built by Asha Faulkner and several, it was the, well, kind of had, several patrons. It was the only textile mill in Warren County prior to 1930. The mill was in operation until the Great Flood in 1902, which destroyed many of the mills in the region. Situated on the bluff above the Great Falls of the Caney Fork River, the structure survived but was forced to close due to the loss of the turbine that washed away. This mill was operated by a flume turbine, ropes, and pulleys powered by water diverted from the falls. The operation included manufacture of cotton, wool products, and was well known for its heavy cotton sheeting. Mr. Faulkner wanted to help those who most in need, hired and housed some 300 workers, predominantly widows and children. This created a booming city that included its own blacksmith, post office, farm market, and store of company products. And it looks like there was a Boston mill here in 1840s, which was one of the earliest mills to this area, located just downstream from here. Local stones were used to grind corn. Thomas Boston had a set of stones whipped from France, or shipped from France for $300 to grind wheat. So you could get a grindstone for $300 back then. That's pretty interesting. So just think, the thing that killed this mill was a flood. A flood in the early 1900s that left a pretty bad stab on the community. It's like you can kind of see where they're propping up the foundations. In a way, kind of reminds me of the ghost town of Thurmond. If you all have ever been to the ghost town of Thurmond, West Virginia, there are 3 big buildings that are still left over from the period. And you know what? They could probably save it. Well, it is saved, but I'm kind of thinking, why don't we put like something in there like a museum, like an actual museum? Or maybe even do it with this, or maybe even for the state park. Why don't they, you know, it would probably be a cool idea if they could turn the mill into a museum. That would be something really cool to see. Like, imagine 3 floors of history, old equipment. That would be cool. There's even some wood left over. Probably the last time somebody went in there was a very long time ago. Or maybe an urbex sleuth that wanted to see the insides of it. I want to say somebody has, but I'm probably thinking of a different place. But here adjacent to the old mill is one of the waterfalls that is out here at the park. And that is the Great Falls. And real quick, I have an idea. There is a tiny hole that is under this wood right here. So maybe we can peer under it to see what is actually in here. No, we can't go inside. But that would be kind of cool to see if there is anything, and I mean anything, in the building. So let's see if my idea will work. I hope you all can see something. I imagine it must look pretty cool in there. You couldn't really see anything. It's kind of dark, to be honest. That was actually kind of cool to see that textile mill. Or what is all that can be seen. But here, just over this cliffside, this is the Great Falls. And it goes like this from one end all the way to the other. And in this one, this particular falls, you can swim in. The other one, which I think is Twin Falls, that one, it's got a bit of a current to it, so it's a bit of a no-go. So since we're here, we're going to walk down to it, and we're going to get another view of the Great Falls. Caney Fork River Gorge, Old Mill Trail, Warren County, 0.5 mile trail. Doesn't seem too bad, although it is strenuous. It says strenuous, use extreme caution. There are certain natural features in this park that could be dangerous. I was looking into it a little bit. Apparently it does go straight down, and some of the stairs leading to this area are very slippery. But other than that, I think it's pretty much an easy trail, at least I'm thinking. But let's get down there. Let's check this stuff out. By the way, they also have the same TV and the same video being played like the one at the museum. I have never seen that at another Tennessee State Park. This is totally new in my book. And speaking of waterfalls, here on the end, that is Twin Falls. That little tiny dot right there. Gee, what do they got in there? King Kong? But no, seriously, I've never seen this for a trail. It's closed 6 p.m. to 8 a.m. but I could kind of see why. Just because it's right next to a hydroelectric dam. 102 persons have drowned in this lake, wearing life jackets 1, not wearing life jackets 101. So it looks like it is a fairly rare occurrence to drown in this particular area. And this is really, really pretty. I don't know which falls this one is, but I like the sound of it. This actually doesn't seem too bad, especially with it just being 0.5 miles. Maybe it's just because it's all uphill, and there are a lot of fat people in the world today. You know, that could be the reason why. At least I imagine so. And we're getting to the bottom, and I can kind of see why some people would probably slip and fall, because that's muddy, and I've got sandals on. But this is really pretty. Oh, that feels good. Ooh, that's kind of chilly. I like that. And that is really pretty. Just to be walking down something like that might look pretty, but you know, it might lead to someone tripping and falling and busting their butt. Gosh. I like how it just goes all the way down the stairs. Ooh. That could have ended badly. It's so peaceful. It's like we're finally getting into the gorge and to whatever that waterfall was that we just saw. Look how it's just going over the edge of the stairwell. I think this is why it's so strenuous, or one of the reasons. It's because it's so slippery. And you don't want to trip and fall and get hurt. That would not be fun to travel down and get hurt. But nonetheless, this is really peaceful. I like how just randomly there's a tree just sticking out of it. I guess it really makes all things all the more interesting to see something like that. That is beautiful. Hopefully I don't trip and fall. By the way, as someone who was going to be a park ranger back in the day, just be careful when you are going out on these hikes. Wear proper footing. Don't wear sandals. Don't do what I'm doing today. That is a bad idea, because you might fall and bust your butt. I like how it's all just uphill. But you know, at least there's a lot of tree roots. Oh wow. Okay. God, that looks cool. So peaceful and so nice. And for the time being, I'm gonna stick my head under here. Oh my God, I love that. That's cool. That felt great. And I needed that. It was cold and clear and awesome. So now that I've put my head in the water, got cooled off for just a second, let's check out some of the Caney Fork River. Wonder what it's like when the water is like up. Now I want to say somewhere around here is the remains of the Blossom mill. I mean, I would say part of it is that, but it looks like that's just a that's just a piece of stairs, although it might be a part of the ruins. But aside from the ruins, let's see what they got. I wonder if that waterfall was a part of Twin Falls. Probably not. I know it's probably got another name to it. But this is peaceful. And I've said it a lot already. Just rocks and rapids. Just kind of seems like it goes on forever. Sounds like they've got a siren. I think what they're doing is they're letting water out at the far end where the falls are right there. At least that's what I'm thinking anyway. Oh no, yeah. There's the Great Falls up there. So yes, you can see it from here. My bad. Oh gosh. We got more running water too. Oh, this is peaceful. Makes you feel like you're in another world too. A nice, peaceful world. And hopefully I don't trip and fall. I can kind of see why they said this could be strenuous. Because you got a lot of algae, you got water on the stairs. It's just one big mess up waiting to happen. This feels kind of like the Amazon. Get right beneath the waterfall. Kind of like Ozone Falls in a way, but much smaller. I love Ozone Falls, by the way. That's probably one of my favorite all-time waterfalls here in the state. And plus too, you can it's pretty fun to swim. This is incredible. I love how just the water is running down from all of this. This is epic. And right there, that is the Great Falls. See, it creates kind of like a horseshoe. Like I said, I see why some people say that it's a pretty hard, strenuous trail, because everything is slippery and you might get hurt, and you don't want that, not at all. And this is really cool. Look at the fish. Although I pulled a crawfish off of him, so maybe now he's got stamina. And they're right there. There's the crab. It's like, hey, don't touch me. But you know what? You shouldn't have tried to kill that fish, you jackwad. This has been probably one of the hardest 0.5 miles I've ever had to do. But it was well worth the view. Check this out. We have made it to the Great Falls. But sadly, looks like there's not really a whole lot of water going on today. I kind of wonder what that siren was all about. I thought that maybe the water would be raising in this area, but the siren just quit. So I guess they were just letting water out of the flume downstream. So I guess really it didn't affect what we were doing. God, that is beautiful. It is true, it is in the shape of a horseshoe. But if I was swimming at this spot today, I'd probably swim in that first one to the right. But I've actually got that saved up for something in another vlog. Oh my goodness. We made it out here. It was a hard trek. The hardest 0.5 miles I've ever done. And I also saw fish almost get eaten by a crawfish. I stopped the crawfish, so I did my job. Yes, I did my job. And by the way, I found a really awesome walking stick. Like, I think this was somebody's at one point, because maybe it's either that or maybe it's just how the fast current kind of gave it a bit of a shape. So now that we have seen this falls, we are going to go see Twin Falls. And I think we're going to check out a cemetery as well while we're out here. This place is awesome. This is on my top 10 list of Tennessee state parks. You know, it makes you think about how far you've come when you're actually walking back on a pretty strenuous trail. There's water running there, and by the way, look what I found. That is a part of the old mill. I found that in the rocks, but you can see the gears from that. The big thick metal. I kind of wonder what it went to on the mill. Probably some kind of turbine. Or maybe it's even a part of the turbine that washed downstream way back when. I don't know. In the comments below, give me your thoughts. And look, it's another crawdad. He's like, no. Like, no. No. Oh, look. There's his cousin Reno. I'm not gonna lie, there are a lot of crawfish out here. That is one big turbine. if you all are curious, that is one of the turbines that is in the powerhouse. Although it is probably more than likely defunct, or maybe broken, or maybe replaced at some point, but there is a reason why it sits out here as a big display piece. I would say you could probably fit about 20 of me in that one turbine. So imagine the power of the current and the water that goes in that. It's impressive. It is impressive what you can do with hydraulics and hydrology and hydroelectric power. That turbine was cool. Made me think of something I once saw out west at the Glen, I think it was the Glen Canyon Dam, but instead of that, or that one was probably about 50 feet in diameter. The one that they had there was maybe about 20. It definitely gives you a perspective. The Cunningham Cemetery, 0.15 miles. So I'm guessing that it's probably less than 0.3 miles or 0.5 miles. It's just 0.15, or probably, I don't know, maybe I'm just overthinking it. It's probably just about, anyway, I'm not gonna do maths. Maths is bad. We're just gonna hike to the cemetery. It almost makes you wonder how, if someone died, it must have been a lot of trouble to carry them from the funeral home or wherever the funeral services were being held, probably at someone's house. It must have sucked to move that casket all the way out into the woods. Or probably even back then, it probably wasn't the woods. It was probably a lot cleaner back then. And here it is. Here's Cunningham Cemetery. Just a few headstones covered up by a fence. Looks like at some point somebody had the idea to jump the fence just to check them out. I wouldn't recommend it, just because if a gate is up for a reason, then it's probably for a reason. Huh. Looks like someone has left a few coins, a few stones. I know it's got a meaning to it, but I forgot. Sarah E. Gribble, September 29th, 1840. James T. Gribble, January 4th, 1863, and died December 27th, 1922. Mother and father. So that was the mother and the father. Looks like the mother, Sarah, was never buried here. At least I don't think, anyway. But it's very cool to see how all the way out here there is a grave, a cemetery, several of them. Like that one right there. Those headstones right here. And really, this wasn't all that bad of a hike. I think that's what I like. I think we're gonna go to the overlook where you can see Twin Falls now. Now, in order to get the best view of the falls, we have to go around, kind of backtracking where we just came from. We have to cross the dam, take Old Power Line Road, or it's the Power Line Roads, and that's where you can get the best view of Twin Falls. Or so I've been hearing, so I've read, or at least so the map says. But since we're out here and we're kind of making our way out, there is another spring house here at Rock Island State Park. And that is called the Minnow Spring House. This quaint site centers around a natural, free-flowing underground spring. This small stone enclosure, a spring house, was likely built in the early 1900s when the Tennessee Electric Power Company operated in the dam nearby. This spring house, along with the adjacent spring castle, likely served as water supply for the Falls City community that developed from the Falls City cotton mill. In operation from 1892 to 1902, these watering sites could have been popular throughout the early mid-1900s to residents and visitors to the community. So really stuff like that was used in refrigeration. But I think this is really cool. Look what they used to call it in 1961. Greetings from the Great Lakes of the South. Postcard featuring Great Falls Dam promoting the great fishing the region has to offer. Well, that is the truth. And right here you've also got other people with their fish and whatnot. A lot of catfish, a lot of bass. Kind of reminds me of my pop way back when. So this is the Minnow Spring House. In a way, it kind of reminds me of like a trough that you see with, you know, with cattle and whatnot, or pigs. But I know the water is way cleaner and way nicer. And I'd probably say that, much like the spring castle, the brother, I guess you could say, or maybe the elegant sister, as you might put it, this is the other one. And I like how it's just smooth like that, and it's running down the hill. That's pretty neat. Reminds me of that one site that I saw while I was down in Raccoon Mountain last summer. It had a similar vibe. It was a bait shop, but the bait, like the water reservoir, it actually came out of the mountainside. That water I wouldn't drink. No, it would make you pretty sick. So let's get down here. The next place that we're going to see before we see Twin Falls is the dam. And now we can't really get up close to it, but we can at least see it from the roadside. That is a very big sign. I do believe this is the big sign that the park wants you to see, to let you know that this is Rock Island State Park. You know what? Maybe I should have started the video off here, but now that I've said that, that is pretty darn cool, if I do say so myself. Like welcome to Disney, but Rock Island State Park edition. But right across from there, this is the dam. Road closed to dam, alternate route. County Road 136 to Powerhouse Road for motorists traveled from Warren County. So I can kind of see why they'd probably close it off, just because it is a one-lane road. And that's really pretty, like compared from one side to the other. I like the smell of the tar. It looks like they've put new asphalt on that. But over here is where we can see the dam. And it's in this little catty corner right here. Now, I think that there is another place where you can view it, but since we're here, yeah, I don't think anybody's going down there. I wouldn't. But if you look at it, you can kind of see where there's a bit of a catwalk. I kind of wonder if people, it kind of makes me think about the River Gorge National Park, where you can walk along the new River Gorge Bridge. I wonder if they allow that. That would be kind of cool if they did. Like, maybe just an idea, I suppose. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge. That would be pretty neat if they did that, though. And just up the road from that, there is this really cool old abandoned bridge that's right next to the new one, the Rock Island Lions Memorial Bridge. That's a pretty cool sign that they got right there. There's like 4 or 5 of them letting you know this is Rock Island State Park. And this lets you know that you can only catch 1 muskie per day. and it has to be a minimal of 50 inches. So that means if you catch one that's less than 50, well, you got to throw it back in according to the TWRA and all their great wisdom. And I do believe this is where the original sign used to be way back when, before they built the new bridge, because there's the foundation where it would have been, and there's the new location where it is now. So talk about a different, talk about a very different change. Very interesting. And sadly, you cannot go in. The bridge is pretty dilapidated. Like if you see it on the sides, yeah, it's seen better days. But it's still really cool from at a glance, especially going to like the other side of the river. In fact, let's get down the trail a little bit, just to give you all a better view of this once beautiful steel trestle bridge. And that is really gorgeous. Just think about the day way back when in the 1960s, when people were coming out here to see this great state park that was new in the 60s. Just absolutely incredible. So now let's see the falls. Took a little while to get here. We had to cross the bridge, had to go through town, and now we are at the other side of the park in order to see Twin Falls. This is a pretty big park. I did not realize that. Huh. Talk about timing. We've got a few TVA workers coming out. By the way, that's the Great Falls Powerhouse. That big building right there with some old school flume lines. Maybe not so much old school, maybe just old. And oh my goodness, there's Twin Falls. That is absolutely incredible. And quite a few stairs to get down to it. But I'm not complaining. You know, if you look hard enough, you can see people at the bottom. They're like little ants in the face of the Twin Falls. That is really big. Oh wait, that's not people. Those are buzzards. Turkey vultures. I guess maybe they're waiting for some dead fish. Kinda morbid if you ask me. And across from that, of course, is the powerhouse. Oh, I tripped and I fell. TVA personnel only. So you can only be TVA personnel to go beyond that point. But standing here looking at it from the bottom, I like this. So maybe let's get a little bit closer. I like how there's just a random tire at the bottom. But that's a bigger, that's a closer standpoint. I do see some people there at the bottom. Looks like I think they're kayakers. But I'm just fine from this area. I don't really feel like making a jump or struggling to get down there. But that scenery, and just compared from like a little person right down there, you can kind of see as a little black dot, and that big giant waterfall, that'll put things into perspective on how small our world or how small a human's world actually is. There we go. I think that makes sense. But it is really pretty with the camera zoomed in. Like, I feel like I should be in the Amazon rainforest. Like I want to get closer, but I know I can't just because of some time constraints. But my goodness, that is astounding. And I'm surprised why people, like, you always hear stuff about like what goes on out west, like the Grand Canyon and whatnot. But this side of the country is so underrated. Like, I'd even say that it's much better than what goes on out west. This was worth it. This was totally worth it. And in doing my research, I did not realize that Rock Island State Park was as big as it was. Kind of reminds me of like Old Stone Fort. I think I said that at the beginning of the video. But this park has had a lot of twists and turns and a lot of surprises. But anyway, guys, remember, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon. Oh, it means a lot. It goes to show that y'all care and that y'all want to see more awesome videos. So without further ado, you guys, this vlog is over.